So I'll kind of wrap things up today, but I'll start with the way I started a couple of days ago, and that was thanking all the sponsors for being here, making this happen. This was really a great event, and it's grown significantly since we first started. So it's a result of having good sponsorship, good participation, good attendance at these events, good demonstrations. We had all those. And one thing when I like to get through with a conference is kind of wrap up the highlights of what I heard, and maybe that really positions us looking forward and where we're headed. And obviously, thanks to Admiral Evans for kicking us off, giving that high level view of what's going on throughout the United States through the Office of Coast Survey's approach towards supporting mapping activities, both nationally, but even those international voices. So thank you for kicking it off like that. That really, I think, sets the tone. Nick, following up, I enjoyed your talk and the work you're doing throughout the Great Lakes, but I was most happy to know that you have found Jimmy Hoffa, so we can all stop looking for that. John Bright, got to work with John a number of times over the years, and we had some really fun work this summer. But you know, what I heard from John was really how much NOAA and the ramping up of the vessels and the equipment on those vessels really supporting lakebed mapping activities, that there's some big things coming, and it takes the efforts that they provide year in and year out to make that happen. So that was very impressive to hear. Iman's been with us since the first conference, and I think he and Charlie and Nathaniel, they share a lot of those same messages, and that is that we go out and we collect this information, but that's just part of the story, and that classification and that understanding of those changes on the lake floor and sea floor are critical, and it's not always easy. And that map once, use many times, and I think visit once and do everything you possibly can, because you might not get back there. And we've gotten a chance to work with them from the team here at NMC, and I know we get down to some of these sites for ground truthing, and we're not actually sure what we are looking for. And it's not because of anything that didn't get communicated, but you get down there and it's not as simple as a one square carpet versus another, and they look different. So that whole idea of, but when we were there, we should do all this information collection so that it's done once. And again, you're not wasting resources putting a boat or a team back out in an area. And these are beautiful areas to work. I think any national park that was shown up there, I've been lucky enough to be part of those, and it's not a bad place to say this is where I have to work this month. So, but I thought they did a great job with that. NOAA teams and the NCI and Jessica, who's I think out on the boat right now. You know, my message from her talk was challenging us to get more data in, and that really saying this void is here, be the first. And so let's take that challenge and really build on that. Christine, oh, and she also gave us the percentages of where we are in the Great Lakes on the US side. And the question came out, which was posed to Christine, about where are we on the Canadian side? And she did, I told her this out of the presentation, but it was great that she held us in suspense, because it made everyone come and listen to the talk because we wanted the number, right? So, but so that idea, we're getting closer, we're doing more, we're seeing progress. Those are all key things. Michelle and Sarah really spoke well about getting the TJ in here and the work that could be done in Lake Erie and the amount of challenges that exist in surveying the Great Lakes. So that work, we want that coming back, and it sounds like we are going to get more of those efforts coming in a more frequent basis, which will only help build this out. Evan spoke from Tear Depth, and really I thought hit home a couple of marks with Absolute Ocean and that whole data management cloud-based platform. I'd had the chance to hear that from the geodynamics group and as well as eTrack about how they do that with their clients. And I just see the power of having something that others can join into to help them better manage that data, make it available. That's key, that people get access to it. Matt Holland joined us remotely with Mike Muchler, and they talked about combining assets and resources, looking at new strategies for mapping. And I think Mike's out on the boat right now with a team, but you know, those coordinated efforts are important. Dave Bernstein and Russ Green talking about the survey challenges at the Wisconsin Shipwreck Coast National Marine Sanctuary. I'm going to remember to get that right every time. But great that they were able to cover that much. I think, Russ, you made a good point. It normally doesn't go that smoothly the first year out, that much data being collected. And I think from Dave's perspective, really going through their SIMS survey information management system, these are critical resources for companies to be able to deliver their products to people. So one comment, he talked about surveying and civil unrest, and I made me think of that we're surveying in the 60s and going back into those days. But COVID civil unrest in Chicago. Going back to this morning, and Vinny really, just like the Admiral did, he brought us back up and into a very higher space, looking at the hydrospatial and the blue of the blue world. And I thought that really kicked off today in terms of getting people's minds back thinking about it. Kitch and Sail Drone, we're getting those in the Great Lakes now. And these are tools that will help us build the map and make things more efficient in terms of that. Linden and crowdsourced bathymetry and all the questions that came out of that, and some of the really unique approaches towards not only incentivizing people, but further building out and getting information that we previously didn't have. And then having Tim's mother involved throughout that conversation. Actually, we're all going to talk about that, I think, next year. So Nathaniel and National Parks, again, I'd gotten a chance to work on a lot of that projects over the years, and the challenges of ground truthing information like that is not easy. And it's not till you get back and start looking at it what you realize you didn't do. So, you know, really good stuff. And I think that Tim then brought it back with ultimately, you know, we're here to tell a story. We're here to encourage others to be part of the story, to continue this great effort. And so thank you all. Great presentations from everybody. Great attendance. People were here, engaged, and that really feels good as a presenter, but also someone who's helped organize, and also someone sitting in the audience. And that was fantastic. A couple of things. We're going to do this next year. We're going to do it right here. We're going to do it this week. So the week of September 25th, we will be hosting the next Lakebed 2030 conference in Traverse City, and we hope, and please come back and tell your friends to come back. So we have that going on. Let's see. Oh, little nuts and bolts too. Amber, thank you. You solved a lot of fires that really didn't ever become fires. So because you would be running up here or somewhere else, and seamless. So thank you for all that effort. This is recorded. It's going to be made available. All the presentations are also going to be made available. So if you missed something or want to refer back to something, you'll have access to that. We will be sending out an evaluation, so please fill that out. Give us your feedback. Give us your critical feedback about what we could do better, how we could reorganize if there was need, what you liked, what you didn't like, things like that. Let's see. Notes here. Part of this is the build up towards where we're headed, and we will be hosting the IEEE MTS Oceans 2025 conference in Chicago. So it won't be in Traverse City, but it'll be the first Oceans conference in a freshwater environment in the Great Lakes. And so put that on your calendars now. I am one of the co-chairs, as well as Tim Havens from Michigan Tech and Steve Ruberg from NOAA GLERL. That we really hope to emphasize what we're doing here in Lakebed and a freshwater environment. So put that on your calendar. Those of you who are in THSOA or attending the conference, abstracts are still open. Please submit abstracts. I'm on the abstract team for that conference. So the work you're doing here definitely applies to the conference, so consider that. And then lastly, we are having a joint Marine Technology Society and Hydrographic Society of America chapter joint meeting. First time that they've been held simultaneously, but the idea is that the Great Lakes and the regions that these societies cover for our chapters and our groups cover so many states. It's hard to get everyone here, whereas South Florida might have their own chapter. Well, we have 13 states that we often have to cover. So we're going to have that here. We encourage you to stay. Ed wanted me to point out, he took off, but the idea that we did have lunch for those who registered. So if you do want to stay, but you didn't register, there's only 30 lunches, and Ed would be happy to give up his lunch if you really need to eat. So So thank you all. I enjoyed it. I love the student employer roundtable. I didn't emphasize that in the beginning, but I saw a lot of good conversation. To me, that means a lot. I know we have some students who are still here now, but students from anywhere in the country, that's the kind of message they need to hear, that these are the opportunities and that people are really looking for more support. So that's all I have. I want to thank everyone again. So enjoy your travels home. I hope they're safe. And if you're heading somewhere that's been impacted, I hope you don't get too delayed or any delay. So thank you all.